The sky's the limit for Aussie Josh Green, but Ben Simmons continues to fall to earth with a thud. Hello and welcome to Fox Sports Lab NBA, and what a show we have in store for you. I'm your host, Ben Dixon, and alongside me, the expert in the NBA, as always, Jaymz Clements. Welcome, James.
Thanks, Dicko. I'm like the, wire at the front of my house. I'm alive and I'm wired. Let's go. This is great.
You're always wired on this show. Coming up, why Luka Doncic needs Aussie Josh Green. Special guest Carlos Boozer answers the big questions on Ben Simmons. And the big names make the big calls on another weekend of basketball. James, I know you'll be loving the return this week of Josh Green, especially his setback three against Norman Powell and the Clippers. Can he maintain that early season form 20 games after his elbow injury?
Can he, Dicko? Yes. Will he? Also, yes. But seriously, that step back three, how good was it? He made Norm Powell do the Texas two-step. He made him do the hokey pokey and then he fell down. It was unbelievable. I absolutely love that. Josh Green just turning Norm Powell into a pretzel. You love that. But the man from Sydney, he might only average 7.5 points a game, 2.5 rebounds or so. But this year he's been amazing, right? So 45% from three before he goes down with that elbow injury. It really made Greeny take a big step up. In the Mavericks rotation, Coach Jason Kidd starts trusting him. But more importantly, Dicko, this is the big thing, defense. That's all it is, defense. The Mavericks dropped to 26th. That's very bad, very bad.
Awful.
Basically in defensive rating with Greeny out. So he gave them sort of like positional versatility when he was out there early in the season. And even though they sort of were a 500 team with him out there, he just sort of gave Luka and that Mavs team just that sort of extra sort of weapon to throw out there. Do some weird stuff, sort of basically give them a guy who does nothing but shoot threes and dunk the ball. Because you see his shot chart, it's chaos. It's literally dots around the basket, dots in the corners, and that's it. He's been awesome though, like sort of basically adding that extra little element once he's come back. Looks great. I'm loving it.
Well, what does Green need to do to form a formidable duo with our man Luka Doncic heading towards the playoffs?
What does he do? Well, he just needs to keep doing what he's doing, basically, because he doesn't need to touch the ball to be effective. This is the best part about Greeny, because Luka dominates the ball so much. Greeny, I believe 70% of the time he's scored, he's touched the ball for less than 2 seconds. That's not much.
That's not a lot.
That's great. That's a lot of catch and shoot. That's like, I'm cutting, pass me the ball, dunk, bang, I'm out. It's incredible stuff. So that's what Luka needs, right? Role players around him who just do their job reliably. And that's where the defense thing comes into it, right? Like, he's a reliable defender.
Yeah.
The Mavs have got a lot of dudes who are hypothetically good defenders. They look good on paper, and then you get them out there and they don't actually do their job. Greeny, he's got that Aussie grit, he's got that heart, and he gives his all every game, which is one of those things when you look towards the, any typical sort of boomer squads, you go, he's got to be on it. But he's been awesome, and next to Luka, he's exactly what Luka needs. A dude who goes out there, doesn't need the ball, plays defense, plays his guts out.
Hypothetical defence. Sounds a bit like my career. I thought defence was the thing around the ground holding the crowd out. All right, sometimes it's not how your star players help you win. It's how you win without your star players. The Celtics are getting it done, but the Bucks were struggling without Giannis and Middleton. What's the difference, James?
It's actually a really fascinating sort of setup there, Dicko, because Boston and Milwaukee are at the top of the Eastern Conference, and we did see Milwaukee without Giannis, without Middleton. We call him Kate, not Pippa. And away they went. The thing is, Celtics, they ripped off like, I think, a 9-game winning streak. That came to an end this week. Had a pretty tough trip down to Florida. But they hit a tipping point of injuries, the same thing as Milwaukee. Because I think the big difference between Boston and Milwaukee with that stretch was that the simple idea was Milwaukee lost 2 of their stars. Boston only ever kind of lost 1, but were dealing with injuries at the same time. They were so deep that they were able just to sort of, keep feeding that 1 star, whereas Milwaukee, with only Jrue Holiday out there, still, an all-star, still a gun. But the way that they're built, Milwaukee, it's sort of much more defense-orientated. And when you lose those 2 sort of offensive guns like Giannis, Middleton, for any sort of stretch, it's a tougher sort of ask the role players to sort of step up and carry that scoring load. But the thing was, the Celtics are the best away team in the NBA, right? 17-9. So the way they did that was just keeping on scoring. Like, you just go, right, we've lost. Maybe we don't have Jaylen Brown today. Maybe we don't have Marcus Smart. Doesn't matter. We've got guys who can step in like Malcolm Brogdon, like Derek White, and just keep knocking in shots. They've got Grant Williams, another really good role player who can sort of step up when needed. Milwaukee, they've got our man Jinglin Joe Ingles. I love him.
Joey.
Jinglin Joe, the man from Happy Valley. But the way that they sort of then have to knuckle down when they don't have a Giannis is just defense, and it's not going to win you as many games, I think, in today's current NBA, just going, we'll just outscore you. Defense, you should be able to pull it back down, but if you don't have someone to put you over the top, it's going to be a lot tougher. But basically, look, third defensively, the Bucks, really good. Offensively, 23rd. So that's the sort of big difference, right? The offense for Boston still up here. Yep. The defense has then gone up to meet it. But the Milwaukee offense just sort of fell apart without those also sort of big component parts, really. All
right, Lakers made a move this week and traded for Rua Hachimura from the Wizards. Does he move the needle? Is it a move?
Rui is a guy who can get you 30 one night. He'll get you 0 the next. He actually did that last week. He got him 0 and then got him 30. This is not something I'm making up, Dicko. But this is it. Like, does he move the needle? Not really.
Oh, really?
But he gives them like an interesting kind of extra arrow to the bow, shall we say, where you have LeBron, big, used to be a small forward, now is a power forward, and Rui sort of plays a pretty similar position. So he can score, he can rebound a little bit. He gives them sort of what Kyle Kuzma, his former teammate on the Wizards, used to give the Lakers when Kyle Kuzma was on the Lakers. It's fascinating to see if LeBron could get the best out of Rui, because this is a kid who has had the entirety of Japan on his shoulders.
Yeah.
And it's been a tough one for him. And he hasn't quite developed the way probably the Wizards would have liked. But he goes to LA, fresh slate on a veteran team. He can get out there and run with Russell Westbrook. Solidifies the rotation, and that might be the most important part for the Lakers. Just gives them another sort of weapon. They gave up a bag of chips for him. Kendrick Lamar, none. I love him, but he's not as good as Rui Hachimura. So, look, LeBron's going to try to notch this all-time scoring record. I say with this sort of addition, bringing in Rui, look for a few more wins, I reckon, in the next couple of weeks from the Lakers as they get Anthony Davis back, get it all sort of solidified, and especially as LeBron makes a run of that all-time scoring record.
Gave him up for a bag of chips. I love your analogies. All right, stick around because we'll keep the Aussie flavour flowing when Carlos Boozer joins us to talk about Ben Simmons.
The betting brand for sports fans. That's better. Gamble responsibly.
It's time to welcome back two-time All-Star Carlos Boozer. Great to have you back on the show, Carlos.
Hey, great to be here, guys.
All right, Carlos, we're going to start with Ben Simmons. Obviously, big news here in Australia, but the headlines are not falling his way. Was the criticism fair after he was ejected in the game against the Suns?
I mean, it's tough, man. Anytime you get ejected and the way that it happens, you're going to take some criticism, especially when you're a star athlete on a high-profile team in the NBA. Some people are going to agree with you. Some people aren't. That's just the name of the business. But got to handle yourself in a professional way, especially if you're looking to continue your career.
Well, it's the next question because, his reputation right now isn't great. But how does he turn it around? How do you see his future, and can he shake it?
Yeah, I think he can. I mean, listen, everybody loves a comeback, right? This guy was a 3-time All-Star when he was in Philadelphia, did a phenomenal job for that team, had a tough run. I felt like he didn't want to play basketball for a little while, but he's having a good season this year, and just seeing him out on the court is positive reinforcement. I look at him as a defensive prowess. He's a guy that can guard the point guard all the way down to the power forward. I look at him as on offense as a playmaker, a guy that can get everybody in the right sets, create double teams, and kick out to other guys. I do see him as like an offensive liability, it's like he doesn't want to score at times, but he's so good defensively and he's such a good playmaker and he's such a great athlete. If he can start playing and start looking for his shot a little bit more, I think he could be an asset to a team that's trying to win a championship.
All right, James, I can see you nodding your head, so I'm going to get your thoughts on this. So he's posting career low numbers when you look at it in his returns, right? So with the Nets, while Durant is out, can he win back the fans?
Can he? It's going to take a bit. Will he? Probably not this season unless they make a deep run to the playoffs, Dicko. It's tough. They need him to step up. They need him to act like a number one pick. The craziest part is, I think we talked on last week's show, he's averaging only 6 shots a game. 6 shots a game. That's literally half of what he was taking in his rookie year. A lot of this is obviously due to confidence. Carlos would know that. Basketball shooting, it's a confidence game sometimes. But he has looked more encouraging in the last couple of games on the road. They've gone on a road trip, this Nets team. They've lost KD. They turned it around with a couple of wins. But 7.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, 6.5 assists, it's not going to cut it. Like, you can't do that without Kevin Durant there. You need someone to step up and help Kyrie carry that load, because defenses, and Carlos would have seen this as well, right? They're just keying in on Kyrie at this point. And if Ben's attacking, if he's looking to attack, if he's even looking at the basket, and I'll tell you what, some of the clips aren't flattering Dicko, because it's like him just running away from going, oh, I've got a mismatch, I'm not going to go at it, whatever, I'll pass out. He's got to be attacking the basket time and time again, because that'll open up spots for TJ Warren, it'll open up spots for Seth Curry, for Joe Harris, and it'll get that offense humming again. And Carlos has hit on it, the defense. If he's really just ramping that up, look, he's coming back from a back injury. It's always going to be a bit of a rough sledding sort of game here, but if we see him up that ante on the defensive end and just attack that little bit more at the basket, he should be 12, 8, and 8 a game, and fans will come flocking back. That's what'll happen. So it feels a bit wonky at the moment. He still has more fouls than made field goals this season, which is a problem. But it's about effort. It's about being engaged. Him getting kicked out was a bad sign, but I think he can slowly but surely, turn this around if he gets healthier and actually just gets his mind right, attack the basket.
Gee whiz, big comeback to get the fans back on your side. All right, Carlos, Ben Simmons' name, well, that won't be called when the 10 All-Star starters are announced this week, but there'll be some other great players who also miss out. Who are your 3 players you want to see selected outside the starting 10?
Yeah, there's a couple guys that are having terrific seasons that we don't talk a lot about, but down in Miami, they're in the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference, and Bam Adebayo is having a phenomenal season. 21 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, helping anchor that team, especially defensively, and giving Jimmy Butler some help there. Also, in the 7th spot in the Eastern Conference, you got the New York Knicks, and Julius Randle is having an amazing season. Almost 25 points a game, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, has his team in the 7th spot. Very impressive. And then I'm going to go out west. Utah Jazz, Lauri Markkanen has been balling, almost 25 points a game, almost 9 rebounds, has the Utah Jazz in the 8th spot in the Western Conference. Oh, and by the way, the All-Star game is going to be in Salt Lake City this year, so the fans would appreciate if Markkanen was able to be in that All-Star uniform on Sunday.
All right, James, you got 3 for us as well?
I love this because Carlos has ripped off Julius Randle and Lauri, the finisher, Markkanen. I reckon if you combine those two, you've got Carlos Boozer. That's where we're at. That's where we're at. If Carlos was still playing, he's the combination of the guys. My 3, I'm going to have to go with the Souvlaki King himself, Domantas Sabonis out there in Sacramento. He's got this Kings team absolutely flying. He's averaging 18.5 points, 12.5 rebounds, 7.5 assists, 6 triple-doubles for the season. He is crushing it out there. The son of old Arvydas Sabonis. You might remember him from the 90s. I'm going to go jump out east. I'll say DeMar DeRozan. He has had a sneakily awesome season. He's the only reason that Chicago Bulls team, Carlos's old team as well, are still vaguely afloat in the play-in playoff fight. He's averaging over 26 points a game. His awesome throwback game, the mid-ranges, you love to see that. And he's shooting over 51% this season. And I'm going to go Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Shy Redder. I love him. Over 30 points a game. He is actually a bit of a threat. This is a bit of a wobbly one because he might even get named as starter, but I still think Luka, Steph sort of get a starting nod ahead of him. I want to see SGA on there. And as a bonus, come on, we talked about it last week, Josh Giddey. Only people averaging over 16, 8, and 6. Basically all other All-Stars. Why not make it the mop top number as well? Let's go, just Josh Giddey up. Giddy up. Come on, Dicko.
Giddy up, James. I'm up and about, so's Carlos. So stay with us because Carlos and James will face off next in this week's edition of The Big Call.
The betting brand for sports fans. That's better. Gamble responsibly.
Big call time on Fox Sports Lab NBA. This is where James and Carlos face off on the eve of a big weekend of hoops. Let's start with you, Carlos. Saturday, you would think the Bucks can right the ship and get Giannis back into form against the Pacers.
Yeah, I think so. I think Giannis out there, get his rhythm back, knock off some of that rust. Obviously, the other guys got to continue to play at a high level. I just heard a little bit about Bobby Portis may be out for a little bit, so that may hurt them, especially their bench scoring. I mean, the guy averages a double-double off the bench, which is really impressive. But Holiday, Middleton, Giannis, the big fella inside, Lopez. So if they can continue to roll a little bit, they should be able to be ready to go, especially Giannis. Giannis is one of those guys that plays so hard. He's like a Russell Westbrook at 7 feet, always giving his all, diving for loose balls, dunking on the whole team. He's one of a kind. So you want to kind of get him back revving at his high pace so they can steam head into the All-Star weekend.
Do you agree with Carlos, James?
I do. I think they win this one pretty handily. Like, the Pacers are dealing with so many injuries themselves. This is the perfect opportunity to get Giannis back into a bit of flow. But the Bucks are 9-12-3 against the spread on the road this year, which isn't great. I think that's 18th in the NBA. Not ideal. The other sort of tricky part for this one is that the Bucks, I think, are 7-17 against the total points over/under. So there you go. Go the under in this one. Maybe look at taking the Pacers against the spread, but the Bucks win it, I reckon.
All right, James, we're looking at an amazing backcourt battle between the Cavs and the Thunder. Who wins and why?
Oh, I've got to go the Cavs. It's a bit of a tricky one, though, because they're not as great on the road as you'd think. I think they're 9-14-1 covering, and it's not a great record. Thunder at home, 15-8. Really good. But this is a battle of the backcourts. You've got Donnie Mitchell and Darius Rucker, Judy Garland, as we call him. He's amazing. 21-7 Darius, 28.4 points for Donnie. And obviously OKC, you got SGA and Josh Giddey. And so the backcourts combined for roughly the same sort of amount of points, assists. But the big difference for the Cavs, obviously that front court. Jared Allen, go the fro, and Evan Mobley. Too big, too good, too strong for this OKC team, I think. And I think OKC could probably cover. Cavs win.
All right, Cavs or Thunder for you, Carlos?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with James. I think that Donovan Mitchell and the rest of those guys are doing a great job, but the front court is the real difference here. Jared Allen, Mobley, too dynamic. Kevin Love knocking down threes. They just have a little bit more in the front court. Should be a great battle in the back court, though, but I got the front court of the Cavs pulling it out for them.
All right, we're going to stay with you, Carlos. The rivalry vibes go through the roof when the Lakers play the Celtics. Are you backing in Jason Tatum or LeBron James in this one?
This is a great one because LeBron has been on a straight tear. You just saw last night. Had 40 points against every opponent in the NBA. Never been done before. Very impressive. And Jason Tatum's playing like an MVP candidate. I got Boston winning this game, but I think it's going to be a very close one. And I got LeBron putting up big numbers again.
Tatum or James?
I'm going to have to go probably Tatum as well. He's averaging almost 33 points a game at home this season. So that's incredible. But LeBron, as Carlos mentioned, is just like, hang on a second, can I score 224 points in 5 games? He's on his way. He's trying to win this, take over the all-time scoring record. He might just put up another 50 in this one. But look, Anthony Davis back soon for the Lakers. I still think Boston can win this one. The weird thing is, not great against the spread at home, Boston, just because a lot of the time they're so favorited. But they're 18-5, just winning. So you got to go with Boston. Lakers might give them a bit of a push, but I think eventually Boston get over the top.
All right, James, let's round it out. The Clippers and the Hawks, who wins?
This is such a good game. You wouldn't think about it. You'd be like, Clippers, Hawks, cool. It's a Dominic Wilkins connection, I feel. But the wings of the Clippers, obviously, you got Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, PG-13. Look, this takes on this weird Hawks team. You just don't know where they could land game to game. They're so unpredictable. But you've still got Trae Young, you've still got Dejounte Murray, you've got John Collins, that's a tall cocktail. The Clippers are 7th best in the NBA away from home. I like them this one because the Hawks aren't great at home. They're 18th, I think, 13-10. But really, this, forgive my French, but this sucks to pick this game. It's really bad because you've got LeBron in the game before. We'll go, this is the sucks game. I'm going to go Clippers on the road against the Hawks. I think Kawhi and Paul George are just too strong on those wings, and they just do a bit of a job on this Hawks team that's not great at home.
All right, Carlos, Clippers or the Hawks for you?
Yeah, I got the Clippers. I think they're rounding in the form. We saw them have a big win against the Lakers the other night, even though LeBron had 46. I think Kawhi and PG, their chemistry is rocking, especially defensively. We know how good they are offensively, but defensively, they can really take over a game. And I think they're going to do that against the Hawks. So I got the Clippers winning.
That was the big call. And the highlight of my week is having you on the show, Carlos. We can't wait to have you again next week.
Absolutely. I can't wait, guys.
James, before we let you go, it's multi-time. What have you got for us this week?
Absolute rip snorter of an array of games this weekend, Dicko. We've talked about a bunch of them with Carlos, but Grizzlies over the Wolves for me this week. You got Jar just going to go hammer and tongs against Ant-Man, Anthony Edwards. I love that matchup. Heat over the Magic in a battle of Florida. That should be really tasty, actually, for the Heat. And Warriors over Toronto. The Raptors are in struggle town. But if you want a same-game multi for Lakers, Celtics, cannot wait for this. LeBron James, 30-plus points, 7-plus rebounds, 7-plus assists. Love it. He's absolutely flying as the old bloke. And Jason Tatum, 30-plus. Should be a great battle. Can't wait for that one. Boom.
Outstanding from you once again, James. Thanks for joining us on Fox Sports Lab NBA. Don't forget to subscribe below and follow us on socials. We'll see you next week.